Now you have a brilliant young coach in place. Can you talk a little bit about his selection and why he ended up being in the leadership position that he's in?
My first experience at starting a football program was at Florida Atlantic, and I brought a fella out of retirement, the legendary Howard Schnellenberger. So my initial thought was maybe we should do that. Maybe we should look at a retired coach who really isn't quite ready to sit in that rocking chair. So we started a search, and then up came young Steve Englehart from Indiana. He had been a quarterback at Indiana State, had been their offensive coordinator, and then became the head coach at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, where he had a 65% winning record for a team that had not had a winning season in a long time. And when we talked to him and interviewed him, we realized he's the perfect match for what we want to do at Florida Tech. He's shown that he can be a winner in a technological university. He's shown that he really believes in student athletes. And one of the most important things that really impressed me was his belief in community service. He really wants to dispel this negative image of college football players. So he has gotten heavily involved into public service. And our football players, even though they're technically red shirts until we start playing, they're involved all over town. They're at about every charitable organization event that they can get into. They were passing out water at the Melbourne Marathon a couple weeks ago. They're involved in the zoo. They're involved in Big Brothers, Little Sisters. These guys really have bought into the coach's concept that football players ought to be community-minded. And I think that's going to be terrific for the community because we have a new source here of role models, especially for young kids.
His staff that he's surrounded himself with are also pretty exemplary people. Coach Tillman is probably not known to this generation of kids in Brevard County, but Coach Tillman was probably the best four-sport athlete in the history of Brevard County. Went on to play at Purdue University and then played with the Chicago Bears. Tremendous role model and had great success in anchoring and creating the defensive conception for Bethel College up in Tennessee too. I think it shows a lot about the forethought of the coach to pick somebody who's not only recruited out of this area for many, many years. He's taken a lot of good kids who wouldn't have had an opportunity to play high school football up to Tennessee, but it also says that he's thinking defense too already right out of the box with a great hire like that.
Well, of course, Coach Herring as well, let's remember,
Yes.
was also a terrific local athlete who I think has one of the records at Notre Dame for the most starting games, I think.
Most touchdowns in a career in Brevard County high school football as well.
Okay.
He won't tell you that, but I can tell that because he started playing in 8th grade for Coach Thomas over there. Where do you see this program going 5, 10 years down the road? Where would you like to see this? What is your vision for Florida Tech football?
Well, my vision for Florida Tech football is the same vision I have for our other teams. I'd like us to win a national championship. And in Division II, there is a national championship. And it's not as crazy an idea as it may sound. We've proven we can do it in other sports. I think we can do it in football as well. When we get to that point, and I won't put a timetable on it, I think we can be very competitive. We get to play some schools that are outside of the conference just to fill up our 11-game allotment. So I think we'll have some fun games for folks around here, maybe even play some of the known schools. We're getting some real support from some luminaries in the field. Coach Schnellenberger is going to come up and help us out. Doug Flutie said he'd like to help us out. So I think we're going to get more people helping us with the program as well, and I think that's important too. So I think this is going to be a whole new gem in this Brevard County Space Coast culture. I think this is going to be a team that folks are going to love. It's going to be exciting, and I think it's going to change the way we think about sports in this area. And let's face it, we're in Florida. When I was a kid, Western Pennsylvania may have been the epicenter of football. Today it's clearly Florida, especially this part of Florida. I think it's moving up from South Florida, much more into Central Florida now. And I think some wonderful things are going to happen. And I think it's going to bring a level of excitement that frankly we've needed in this area. So we are very happy with this initial start, and really looking forward to the fall, where we'll have some scrimmages that will be open to the public. And then in August 2013, we haven't announced this yet, but we have reached an agreement with Stetson University, and we'll be coming out with all the formal announcements. And that's going to be an exciting opening game too, because as you know, Stetson is bringing back football after having dropped it a number of years ago. And homecoming. It's always kind of bugged me that we do have homecoming, and as hard as you try, you need a football team to have a serious homecoming. So this is going to bring a whole new level of interest for alumni and friends, as well as our current students, to the real meaning of homecoming. And when we play that homecoming game, which right now it looks like it's going to be against Case Western Reserve University out of Cleveland, which is a school somewhat similar to ours, this is really going to be pretty interesting for this community, and I think bring a whole level of showmanship and sporting frenzy to this area, and frankly make homecoming a pretty big event.